Welcome to Roof It Up. This is a podcast about innovators, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and their stories about the course they took by Saenz Global.
We're super excited. We have someone that is awesome. If you could, mostly everyone knows who you are, but if you can actually kind of tell people who you are, that'd be great. And then we'll get started.
Tim Brown. Our company is Hook Agency out of Minneapolis. We serve mostly roofers, so about 85-90% roofers, other home service businesses as well. But we do Google stuff, so websites and search engine optimization and Google Ads. We manage Google Ads for people. And yeah, I have been doing website. I started website design. So I went to school for website design, worked for a different company. And at a certain point, I went out on my own. I went out on my own because I found that I could get leads, sell them, design it, and develop it. And at a certain point, you're just like, I don't know if I need a middleman on this. But I went into roofing, or I've gone further into roofing because I had one initial client that was really awesome. And essentially he championed us, and then we got really good case studies in roofing. So that was kind of how that happened.
So awesome. Okay. So are you from Minneapolis? Like, were you born and raised in Minneapolis, Minnesota?
Yeah. Corcoran, Minnesota. So 20 minutes outside of Minneapolis, but yes.
You just had a baby girl, right? So you just had your first child, right? Nice. Yep. And what is her name? Because it's super cute.
June.
Okay. Literally, June is adorable. Like, she's so pretty. She's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Definitely some big things. 2023, I'm really excited for your business. I think it's going to, already you guys are killing it and crushing it. But what this is all about is when people see your business, right? If you go into your website, if they go to any of your platforms, you look at your business and go, man, Tim has so much success, right? And so the story is like, you didn't get to where you were today just from one day to the other. Of course, there has been a journey involved, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so cool. So we want to know your story. So how did your journey start? Like, I know you just mentioned that you went to school, and then from there you were working for another company, and then you're like, oh, I could do this on my own. And then, but tell us that journey, like taking a leap from your 8 to 5, most likely very comfortable position where you're getting a salary, where you're getting your benefits and stuff, and then taking the leap of actually entrepreneurship and then building something from the ground up. Like, how was that journey? Was it easy, or like what happened?
Yeah, I built it up on the side. So I made sure I had a deal with my employer where I could do side hustle.
Nice.
And initially they weren't paying me maybe market rate. So that was like, I was like, I'm fine with that as long as I'm allowed to do this side hustle. And they started to pay me more, and I was starting to get a little comfortable, and it scared me because I knew that my dream was eventually to have my own company. And I basically just wanted to grow faster. You know what I mean? I want to be the best version of myself. And like I said, one of the clients I got through my website because I was building it up on the side. Right. I was building its SEO up. So I got a lead through the website. I was ranking for things like Minneapolis web design. I got a lead through the website that was Mall of America. And then I went out and sold that deal and for my current employer because it felt like a little bit bigger of a project. But then I ended up having to design and develop it and didn't really have help from my team. So in a way, going out on my own was kind of, as so many entrepreneurs, it's kind of like a little bit of a resentment mixed with like, I think I can do this on my own, mixed with pride of youth. You know what I mean? Like I realize now, besides attracting the lead, selling it, servicing it, running a business has a lot more components to it.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
But at that time I went out on my own, partly because I built up like a good 10K monthly like flow on the side. And I knew that 10K would be there at least for the next like 3-6 months. And so that's where I felt like comfortable going out on my own. I did get an office, a little small office right away. I was like doing it for $250. That was December of 2016. And so that's when I made the leap, and I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I don't think you're ever really ready.
Yeah.
You're never
So
fully
what,
ready.
yeah, no, 100% never fully ready at all. Right. It's always scary, for sure. So what you're saying is like in your case, right? You had your job, but you also had a side gig, and you got your side gig to a place where it was making a steady $10,000 for the next 3 to 6 months, maybe. So that kind of gave you a secure spot, so that taking the leap, obviously very scary, but you still had something, like
Yeah.
you had some type of cushion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you hit on something really interesting. So a lot of people look at entrepreneurship. It seems to be the new fad, right? In our culture, or if you're on social media or wherever, and the new fad, which is be an entrepreneur. It's awesome. But what you kind of hit on is that a lot of people are really good at an area. Let's say they're really good at baking a pie, right? And all the friends are like, you got to start a bakery, bake the pie. And they're like, yeah, they go and they open a bakery, right? And then they realize that it's not simply baking pies when you have a bakery. It is like all of the operational things involved in having a bakery. And
Yeah.
some people are like, I hate this. And then they're like, I'd rather just be an employee, right? And so it's kind of like, I think those are good questions. Like,
Yeah.
if you're on the journey to be an entrepreneur, to be like, it's not just, you're not just going to get to do what you love. There's going to be some other operational things you're going to have to do as well, right?
I don't suggest it. I like, everyone talks to me about entrepreneurship, and I can't recommend it.
Yeah.
I like it, and I'm happy I did it.
Yeah.
However, like, if you could get a better salary than I could have, I had gotten decent, right? Like 3 years into my career, it was okay, but I knew I was going to be capped, and it was important to me. And I kind of knew that it was going to be painful. It's importance is clarity that is there's a lot of painful parts about entrepreneurship. I'm not 100%. Telling you not to do it. I'm saying there's a lot of painful parts about it. And if you go into it not knowing that, you may not take basically you need to take massive action. You can't sit around all day and play video games or certain things that maybe you could do a little bit more of if you were an employee potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can check out, right? Like you're 8 to 5, you're done. Let me go do some Xbox, or let me go shopping. It's like when you're an entrepreneur, and especially in the starting areas, it's this 24/7 grind, right? And it really, it's aggressive for sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you started your journey. I love that. It was like, hey, you kind of mentioned some things there. Is like, you got the Mall of America project, which that's a bit, if you don't know, Mall of America is huge. I've been there a few times. So the point that you got that project and then didn't have any help, that kind of was like, hey, I could probably do this on my own. So cool. Yeah. So what is the lead? So what led you to the roofing industry? I know you mentioned that you found that you got a roofer and you really, really liked them. So was that the starting point for you?
Yes. So, well, I got a roofer, and then I had like a pavement company and a remodeler.
Yeah.
And then soon enough, a really nice custom modern home builder. So I had like a kind of a array of like contractors.
Okay.
And then a plumber, and then, but I think, and we still work with those types of companies, but we're pretty focused on roofers. So I think what's really kind of nudged us in the direction of roofing is basically we had a really good case study and a really cool client. So we had this massive success helping this roofer who was under 1 million at that time, now to 10.
Amazing.
So that was a big deal. And he credits us a lot with that. Like, I certainly believe it's him, but he pushes that back and says, Tim, you were an integral part of that. So that kind of advocate out there in the world for us. And actually, I was doing video and stuff too back in the day for a few roofers. So I got to be out and like up in attics and on top of roofs. Right. And that visual of me being involved was also good for our ability to tell the story to other roofers, to say, actually, you know what? Tim looks like he's out here.
Yeah.
Tim's not just up in a corporate office, like speaking down on roofers. Tim is in attics. Yeah. And is learning directly from roofers and cares about roofing. And so that was important for us and helped kind of proliferate the story. And we had a few kind of early advocates for us. I should shout out Dmitry Lipinski, was like
awesome
sharing, like, so he actually came to me because he saw that my website gets over 1 million people on it every year.
That's incredible.
And I was embedding his videos throughout the website because he has good topics. Yeah. And one of his videos had tons of views and he was seeing it was coming from hookagency.com. And so he came to us and was like, what are you doing? You know? And so he asked us to do that for roofinginsights.com. And because he wanted to see more traffic to come to that website. So we did that for a number of years, and separate, even before that, he was suggesting us to roofers, and still does.
Yeah, he totally still does. Just saw one of his recent videos, and totally you got the shout out to for them to work with you. And that's just if you're in the roofing industry, most likely you're listening to this. Dimitri is definitely a well-known name. He is super awesome, and he doesn't play games. Like, he really brings his viewers the best of the best. And so so that's just another, it's crazy to think, like, in 2016 do you imagine you would be here today? No,
absolutely not. So I mean, we've had all kinds of different clients, right? Medical, wealth building. Like, at that time when I was early, I actually like put out landing pages for all these different niches, right? Because I didn't know. I was still trying to figure it out. My business coach at the time said you should niche. And so basically, as it became clear, I went towards contractors, and then very quickly realized that, like, literally there's way more clean open space to be had if you go further in the niching. So I kind of like realized that very quickly after we niched completely into contractors. It was actually 2021 where we said no other clients besides contractors. So that was July of 2021. And then December of 2021, I realized actually our leads went down and stuff like that. I realized when I'm saying roofing and roofers at the end of 2021, I realized actually I just need to go for that. I just need to go take the leap and go harder, because niching is only beautiful if when you say the word, they actually identify as that.
Right. Yeah.
And right now, like when I say at that time when I said contractors, they don't identify, like they don't think of themselves as a contractor.
Right.
But we have a bunch of really good case studies for roofers, and they think of themselves as roofers. That's their, part of their identity. You know what I mean? So like, I realized that I need to tap further into that. And then also, like, our processes are just, and the way we talk about things just internally, like, we know so much now about roofing, and he times that by 24 people. It starts to just, like, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, but like, you get so much momentum as 24 people are all talking about roofing all the time, and all the nuances and all the details. And thus the service just improves significantly faster.
100%. So the power in, as they say, the riches are in the niches, right? They say that and that's a real reality, because what happens is when we are able to niche down, we're able to speak the language of our potential clients, right? So when we're going in, for us that does admin, we can go, hey, we're taking care of your COCs. We are handling your ordering of materials, all of these different things. Anyone who's in a roofing contractor, they're like, oh, you're speaking my language. Like, hey, we know your CRMs, JobNimbus, AccuLynx, RoofLink, like all these different ones. They're like, oh my gosh, you know my language. And so the power in, like how you said, like your team, your team of 24 all day long is speaking roofing language. And so there's so much momentum. And I would say the same with our team. Like, we do team activities where we literally go like, okay, winner of this gets $60 or whatever, like and it's like, who's the fastest one to know like the acronyms for the roofing things, right? So they're like fun activities the team does, but it's like momentum for the team. Like, they're learning, and we love all things roofing. So I totally like, there's a power in knowing your client well and what they need, because you really bring them a lot more value. So I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, any kind of service that you do, like as a roofers, like anything you do, if you find somebody that, and I'm thinking about this now with our vendors too, like if they're niched into agency, I'm much more like, because I know the power of that. I know how much efficiency there is in not having to relearn our industry. Exactly. And so for you as a roofer, like as you make these decisions about vendors, like finding people, not just finding administrative help, but finding administrative help that's like really into roofing. That's just such a big deal. It's such a difference. So I agree 100%.
Totally. Like it's like you're getting really experts, right? It's an where we're not dividing our time, right? Focusing on all of these other type of businesses. We're focused 100%, like all hours of the day on just roofing. And so we're up to date on like the newest things that are coming out. We're up to date onto the newest things that are happening within the industry. And so there's a lot of power in that when you're working with vendors that are really in your area. So definitely good shout out for like good thing on there for sure. Okay. So I think you kind of hit on this already a little bit, but like you built your respect with Hook Agency in the industry. And one of those ways obviously was you have what you kind of said, you were able to do proof of concept, right? You have case studies, right? Like you said, the first roofer that, not first, but your roofer that you were working with was at 1 million. And through the case study, you were able to see that you got them to 10. And then also you have Dimitri, that's another case study. Like you have proof of concept, right? Because a lot of people love to say they're the best, but they don't have data to back it up. And I always say data doesn't lie, right? So emotions lie, people lie, but data doesn't lie. And so I think one thing from when I look at what you push out, you always have a lot of data. And I think that's really powerful. Do you feel like because of that, you've really been able to like Hook Agency is definitely respected within the industry? Do you feel like that's really helped as well?
Yeah, I think definitely data. So everything we do is really data driven internally, and like we have our key metrics that we're focused on, and they're very much like getting increasing leads for roofers on average, right? Like we're looking at that number in particular for organic because year over year increase, is probably the biggest in leads, right? And we're at like 49% for our average client, right? And organic just means that main section of Google, not the ads at the top, right? There's usually some ads and then so that's our biggest focus. But I'm going to say most agencies are a little bit like that, right? Like most agencies think about data and promote with data. And so actually for me, I would say reputation even more like has been more important. And yes, I think reputation is built by sharing data and case studies and averages for your clients and being really transparent about stuff, but then layering on that component of reputation, because if we're niched into roofing and we serve primarily roofers, then word will get around if we stink. You know what I mean? Whereas sometimes if you're not in a niche, right? Like then you can kind of like spread it out. Like, who knows? Like, oh, I guess it didn't work out for dental. I'm over here now, and so like word of mouth and reputation is really important. So ultimately I'm trying to build a brand that like private recommendations flow freely for us, right? Like, so I'm hoping to carry myself in such a way that represents Hook Agency, and then also our customer service is part of it. So this is the weird thing. Why I'm kind of delineating between data and customers or like reputation and brand is because we actually have had a lot of really crazy good case studies where the client went away. Really good data. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's been in other kinds of contractors, like home builders, because they don't need any leads anymore, right? And then there's basically other types of niches where we've learned that, and that built us a little bit, like contractor stuff, different kinds of contractors. Roofers always need leads. That's why I love them. I mean, it's part of it. You got to have leads, right? That's the healthy inflow of leads is such a big part of the business of roofing. But just kind of like, it is weird sometimes when you have really good data and a client goes, because there's also other stuff, right? And you kind of have to like, somebody asked me this question, really good question, which was like, okay, so what is your percentage of clients that go away every year? And let's say it's 20. It's a little less than that for us, like every year. Just super transparent here for your audience. And then I look like how much of that was like stuff that's really, you're not going to be able to control, like mergers and acquisitions. And like, there's some kind of weird thing that goes into the business and literally it's shrinking or something like that. That doesn't have to do with you, or just things that are very clearly not your jurisdiction. And then what percentage is, hey, we could have changed that. Cause we were talking about having account managers. Should we have account managers? And a lot of agencies have them, and sometimes there's a bad reputation. I mean, sometimes people don't like it, but I don't know if that's there's a benefit to it. There's a big benefit, which is separating out the communication from the busy work, right? So there's a huge benefit. Anyways, I'm going too deep down this rabbit hole, but I just want to wrap it up by saying,
you're good.
By saying that we look at that attrition rate as a very, like, it's an important indicator of health. And I believe that data is a big piece of it. It has to be there, right? If we are getting less than 25% increase in leads for clients for the same budget as our competitor, you know what I mean? Like, we need to be better, and the data needs to support us. But in addition to that, we have to have better customer service. Customer service is everything. You know that. You guys help roofers with that. Like that initial contact, those additional follow-ups, that communication level is absolutely everything for both B2B companies serving roofers and for roofers serving homeowners. We make decisions emotionally, and customer service. So you could have the fourth best shingle and the best customer service, and you are going to significantly beat your competitor who has the number one best shingle and the fourth best customer service, right? Like, maybe not the fourth because there's so many roofers, but you know what I'm saying? Like, fourth tier customer service. Like, I just, that important, like, and that makes reputations too. And essentially I'm equating customer service with reputation. Because I believe that even if somebody doesn't go with you and your customer service was bad, they'll share the word. And even if somebody doesn't, and this is one key to Hook Agency's success, is we're very adamant that even if somebody goes away and doesn't work with Hook Agency, that we're nice. And we help get them referrals for things that will be useful to them now, even if it's not Hook Agency.
Yeah. And it's really just about, so pretty much what I'm hearing is what you're saying is that, yes, the data has helped with how people view Hook Agency. But really what's the most important for you as an owner is that it's really the client experience, that even if they choose to go with Hook Agency or they choose not to, that your team really cares about them, right? And so that they will be impacted even if it's a yes or a no, right? And in a positive way. And so that within the roofing industry is what people know Hook Agency for. Hey, they're really good at what they do, but really they're really great to work with. And so there's more power, right? Most people, they don't want to deal with hassle of like having to chase people down for price, hey, maybe I'm less, but I'm chasing you down, right? They want great experience as well, like that great client experience, right? So is that's kind of what I'm hearing. Is that kind of right? Like the importance of, hey, it's really also the reputation that we have and how we give our clients and non-clients a really great experience anytime.
Exactly. And I would equate it to, like, we both know, like, for a roofer, like, the quality of the install is really important. Like, it is.
Yeah.
But literally homeowners generally, I mean, like, your reputation is not, I mean, it does matter. Like, if you back up your work and if there's a leak a year later, but like, that's almost like you have to, you know what I mean? Like, you have to make the service good. And then beyond that, like, reputation is made. Yeah, exactly.
No, I love it. Super good, super powerful. And just kind of reminding you, when you're listening to this, is client's success something that is important to you as a roofing contractor? If it's not, you really need to look into that, because that's what's going to differentiate you from your competitor. There is a lot of roofing companies all over the US. What differentiates you from your competitor? It really shouldn't be price. It should be the experience, right? And people will pay more for a better experience. I know I will, you know what I mean? And most people will as well. So that's just something to keep in mind there. All right. 2 more questions and then we'll wrap it up. But like, is there a myth within the industry, and especially the marketing industry that you're in, that you would like to debunk?
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch. Should I stick to one, or can I do more?
Stick to one. Yeah, if you can.
Okay. I'm going to do my absolute best to stick to one. So I think the biggest one that should be debunked is that you are making content that is technically advanced. Like, so I believe that people are wasting time with very technical roofing content.
What
And
example? What is
an
that?
example might be um, a I see like the guys on Facebook all the time, like posting pictures of chimney flashings and stuff like that. And I just did a video with the chimney flashing the other day, but I am talking to roofers. So if you're talking to roofers, great. But if you are trying to talk to homeowners, sometimes that technical content is boring.
100%.
And we
Totally.
want to hear we want to hear like Joe's birthday, and he has a story of he's been at the company 2 years, and funny enough, when Joe started, he had this major problem the first week, but then he grew out of it, and now he's like amazing, right? Like we want to know about humans and and like I said, you could do more content about customer service and stories about your people and those types of things. I think that we get attracted to those glamour metrics of views, and sometimes we get obsessed. I think roofers, if I was a roofer, I know I would do it too. We get obsessed with talking to other roofers on Facebook, or somebody comments on our Facebook ad and it's negative because it was a technical thing. And then we think we have to make everything super technical from then on because one other roofer was a hater. You know what I mean? So I think it's basically the mirror image of that is the positive. So that's the myth. Hey, I need to make my content really technical, and I'm kind of talking to roofers a lot, versus know your audience. Homeowner, Missy Jenkins, 30 or 47, married with 2 kids, like they're teenagers, like I know her and I'm making content for her every time. And I just a way to kind of tap into that. Every single Tuesday, I write something on my Facebook that's just a written post that just reminds me it's Ideal Customer Tuesday. I'm going to write a little tip, something actionable for my ideal customer. And I think of one individual or a couple people in particular. I think about them. Where are they at? What do they want? And sometimes we accidentally go after the DIYers. As a roofer, I might accidentally go after DIY, all this DIY content. Guess what? Your ideal customer isn't DIYing.
Right.
Your best customer wants customer service, and they don't even want to talk to you that much. Your best customer wants to get it done, and for whatever price the best is. You know what I mean? So like that reminder too, that we're not writing for, and we're not creating content, we're not marketing to. Realistic for me, if I was a roofing contractor, not the DIYer, not my competitor, not the guy who comments on my Facebook ads, none of that. Just ideal customer, Missy Jenkins, or whoever it happens to be, right? Like just getting really into it. And like if you can think of 2 or 3 real people that you would love to get more customers like, and just get hyper focused and on those people and the problems they had when they came to you, and how you can help them avoid pain with your content. That's to me the best marketing content.
So if I'm hearing correctly, what you're saying is one of the big, like the myths right now is that some in the roofing world. So let's be honest, right? In the roofing world, it is very easy to want to be like, you want to be the king of the mountain, right? And so it's like you get so focused on, I am building content to really show off that we know exactly what we're doing. So when other roofers look at us, we're like better than them, and they're like, dang, that's a really badass company. What's happening there is that you're missing the point. The point isn't for you to you want your business to grow. You want to sell more roofs. And so you have to get laser focused on saying, okay, I need to put my pride down, right? And it's kind of like humbling, saying, I'm not going to build content to show off to other roofers that they can be like, wow, they're badass. Actually, I'm going to get laser focused on doing what works. And what works is, hey, it's like Miss Ashley and
Yeah.
Derek Johnson, and
Yeah.
they are in their 40s, they have kids, and they need their roof replaced, and
Yeah.
they really care about the experience of how their experience will be working with us. They don't care about the the roof scope, all the
Yeah.
different terms and the
Yeah.
flashing and all that. They don't even know. It's like Chinese to them, right?
Yeah.
It's another language. They don't know what you're saying, and it's not actually. So your ROI on those videos and that content is really not what you think it is. So
Yeah.
maybe you're getting a ton of views, but it's not even from your ideal client, right? It's maybe
Yeah.
from other roofers. But why are you trying to go after other
Yeah.
roofers when your goal is sell more roofs, make more money, grow your business, more sales team, right?
Exactly.
So,
It might also have implications on where you're spending your time on social and in the real world too.
yeah.
Right. That's where it's like, maybe like for us, we switched from LinkedIn, where I was talking to a bunch of other agencies and B2B things. And I went to Facebook because I realized that's where roofers are spending time.
Right.
And I don't know what that is for you as a roofer, but like you got to get, hey, where are they really spending time? Where are they really making these purchase decisions from? If it is Facebook, maybe it's more local Facebook groups.
Yes.
And if it's Google and you're not ready for a Google specialized aggressive team, then maybe you get really into local service ads because that's something you can manage yourself. And so those are my two suggestions for roofers if they're not ready for us yet, is usually like get really into Google local service ads, and because you don't really necessarily need somebody to manage that a ton. It's a little simpler. And then the Facebook groups for your local community, find 2 or 3 and then
just plug in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so great. All right. Well, Tim, so good to have you on the podcast. You've brought in so much value on your area of expertise. But what we want you to do as well is if you can share with your audience, like one, who is your, like if you're listening to this and Tim mentions these things about you, and maybe it's like, yeah, that is me, then reach out to Tim and his team. So Tim, I know that you have some qualifications, right? As we do as well in our company. But kind of what are some of those things? And if the roofing contractor listening falls into those qualifications, how can they get a hold of you? Where can they reach out to you? And everything that Tim says, we will also include it at the bottom of this YouTube video or the Spotify, or and all the information and links will be down there below as well. So Tim, if you want to go ahead and speak to your ideal client, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. So you might be a $3 to $10 million roofing company owner who is trying to grow, who believes in digital marketing, who's already seen some ROI from being on Google or different things like that. But you're ready to kind of step it up a notch. You know, you're ready to go hard. You're ready to have that real professional website now. You're ready to go, spend some money because we're not cheap. Neither are Google ads, and we help manage those. So generally we're talking about $100,000 to $150,000 a year as an investment with us and Google. So not all to us, a lot of that's to Google, but basically the mindset and people, you want to know why we have 50 clients, even though that's expensive, 50 roofers, because they basically see the return. And like our ideal is to work with people for a long time. So we're trying to prove that out to you. And you want a beautiful custom website. You want a tight Google ad management team with all the people on it. We got designers, developers, etc. And then you want a consistent SEO company that actually shows you what they got done every single month and does reporting and makes adjustments based on your feedback. And really, we do care about customer service. So those are the things. If those things appeal to you, then Hook Agency might be a great fit. Reach out to us at hookagency.com and Hook Agency all over social.
Love it. Well, Tim, thanks so much. We are so happy that you are able to be on our show today. And again, Hook Agency. Follow them on your social platforms. Follow Tim as well on Facebook. He is literally hilarious. Connect with him. One thing that if you have any questions or anything, you literally, one thing about Tim is that he's really, really genuine. Like if you ask him a question, he will answer you directly if you do it on Facebook, etc. So, and he has a really great team that are there to help you as well. So if he can't help you, his team will assist you, and their team is definitely top-notch quality. We got to have the privilege to be near them at one of our events, the booth, and he had such a great team. So really excited for you, Tim, in 2023. I know greater things are even ahead. But thanks so much for being on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.